to talk about them, and please don't ask me the name of them. Just literally reading from them is evil. But he actually writes books that are actually meant to induce one into certain states. It is an ancient saying to the effect that when you look deeply into the darkness long enough, the darkness will look back into you. I want to talk about black mirrors and silver mirrors. And by the way, they actually had ancient black mirrors, and you turn this computer off here, you've got a black mirror. And silicon. And interestingly enough, the thing that's actually driving this computer, there's a chip right there in the middle. These are very beautiful and incredibly fragile, actually. This is a 99.69s after that, 99.999999 pure silicon wafer, incredibly fragile. And on here are a couple hundred microprocessors. This one was rejected, some sort of super minor defect, which is totally invisible when you actually put it underneath the microscope. It's absolutely fascinating. You can actually see on each one of these chips thousands of little transistors, and I don't know if you know it or not, but this is also too sand. This is also too the same stuff obsidian is made about. It's silicon. This is what human beings are trying to conjure, artificial intelligence. Yeah, a new life form of our own design from element number 14 there, silicon. I'd like to get to that in a second. Anyway, the ancient people did have a version of iPhones and TVs, and these are scrying mirrors. If you actually look and go anywhere now, of course, people are getting in countless accidents by sitting on their Samsung or their iPhone, and these are nothing other than scrying mirrors. We're also, too, looking at glass. Glass, by the way, is a capacitor. There's a brilliant movie. Type in MIT glass capacitor. If it's clear, it's a capacitor. If it's shiny, it's actually a dielectric reflector. I've talked about that endlessly before. So is Dollard. So are the gods of field theory vis-a-vis Tesla, Steinmetz, Heaviside. If the time travelers were able to bring people from the past, a couple hundred years, even 1,000 years, and they were to stare at the humanity, like in a mall. Just take them into like a busy mall, for example. Unless you're looking directly into it and you're off at a distance, they would think that everybody in the current world is literally under a spell, literally possessed by an unseen entity. They would see everybody staring at these tiny little black scrying mirrors, whether it's a Samsung or iPhone. Who cares? They're looking actually at the black screen, which is silicon, which is a capacitor, and it's powered by, just like this computer here. And think of how many, and I'm as guilty of it as anybody else, how many countless, endless, per year, thousands of hours we spend staring into the darkness of these black mirrors that end up in turn, controlling our thoughts and our minds. There is a genuine magic to this, and I have to repeat that because, true metaphysics is hyper-rational, hyper-logical, and sensible. We're not talking about Harry Potter and wands and silly garbage nonsense like that. We're talking about palpable, not obviously demonstrably objective, but demonstrable true magic that it is possessing us. Now, like on this computer screen and this imaginary fire, which of course is not there, it's a projection, and we think we're actually staring the play of light that's going on and the images. Of course, people watch. Everywhere you go now, everybody's staring into their little phone. You could be like homeless, and this is true. It's true. Homeless people that don't have, $5 in their pocket. They're pushing a shopping cart. They've all got cell phones. Everybody's staring into this scrying mirror. Anyway, if we brought time travelers to our present day, they would 100% wonder what sort of black magic, and it is a magic. They would say, 100%, you all are under some sort of spell, some sort of magical spell, staring into these black screens. Well, it's not black, looking at games or movies or whatever, and which is true, but we're still staring into a black mirror. Also, too, the inverse is a silver mirror. I like to get into that in a second. But if you have like a polarizing filter on your computer screen, or if you're looking at it on the slight periphery, I mean, everybody is staring into a scrying mirror. Anyway, the Aztecs had these mirrors. John Dee, he has a lot of writings. I'm not trying to single him out, but he spent in his black obsidian mirror. It's about 7 inches in diameter, and it has a loop at the top with a hole in it. So you could like hang it on the wall, you could stick your finger in the hole and stare into the black obsidian mirror. By the way, of course, the silver mirror only illuminates yourself. Here's an aspect of metaphysics and apophatism. Now, all forms of retroduction means pulling back, extraction. Just as I've said repeatedly, gold is not purified because gold is gold, right? There's about $300 worth of gold in this rock. You can actually see it here, but this rock is only worth about 35 or 40 bucks. You can see the gold right here. Since gold is gold is gold, what are we talking about in extraction, being diluted amongst the... Interestingly enough, of course, the host rock for this particular gold is black. The dilution of the soul. Have you ever watched a TV... about to go to bed, you know, you're watching your favorite show or whatever, and the only thing you can see, of course, is on the TV. You're staring into the black mirror, and we're all obsessed by the stuff that's on the screen. And we turn the screen off, and poof, all of a sudden, you can see yourself. Yeah? Turning off the black mirror that we're staring into. We're actually not staring into the mirror, we're staring through the mirror. This is a type of noetic or nous, or citta, or spiritus sanctum. You pick your word, whether it be Greek, Latin, Pali, or Sanskrit. It makes no difference. We're actually projecting ourselves and diluting ourselves through. You think when you're staring like at a movie, for example, not that this is a movie, that we're staring at the screen, and of course we're entranced by the light and the colors and the action that's on there. All of that's true, but we're actually diluting ourselves. If you think about this, now I know you would scoff very superficially and very quickly at what I just said, but think about it. Think about it slowly while you're taking a shower or driving down the road. We're projecting ourselves and diluting the essence of that which we are through the black mirror of our computers, of our cell phones, so on and so forth. TVs and cell phones that are, of course, just black mirrors that using the creativity and the desires of the self to illuminate phenomena. Projection, the light of that which we want to see, and sorry, I'm extremely tired. I've been like burning the candle at both ends for the past few days, but projecting our soul through this black mirror and diluting it. They're evil. Don't even think, by the way, of scrying. John Dee was actually instructed, and he even said he communicated with entities, and he wrote books, and the books are meant themselves to conjure. They're superficially evil. I'm familiar with his works. There are 6 evil works. I'm not going to mention their name. Just reading them with no intent or desire one way or another is evil. They are a form of, it's actually discussing that, it's quite obtuse, and it's hard to actually get into the metaphysics of that, but merely reading from them is evil. You're actually conjuring, and they were designed to do that. You know, there are certain books that you read on, you know, how to build a bookshelf, you know, how to do this, how to do that. There are books that just reading them is a construct itself, that you're conjuring and pulling yourself in to the other side where you can actually be affected. So please don't ask me the name of those books, but I'm using it as an example of a black mirror. But they were confused for a long time when they kept finding these black polished obsidian mirrors in burial sites and tombs and temples and Aztec and Mayan remains. Like, what are these? Of course, they eventually found, well, you know, some sort of religious artifact, and, you know, they used them. It's no different than Egyptian false doors, by the way. And there's examples. There's 2 great examples that within the Egyptian false doors, which are used as scrying portals to conjure entities to come through, that there was actually brass mirrors placed there, and they actually used it as a scrying portal. Go up, look up Egyptian false doors.